Welcome back to the Grind, Sleep, Repeat podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about fat loss and how to keep that fat loss off.
Yes, this summer's coming up. A lot of people are looking to lose fat, and we're going to give you some steps that you can do to lose body fat, but then more importantly, keep it off. And I think a lot of people, they overdo their cardio, they restrict their calories so heavily, and they really don't know how to lose body fat in the first place. And they go back to their old ways and they put it right back on. So we want to teach you how to lose body fat effectively the right way the first time, but then also keep it off so that you can sustain your progress. So your month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months of hard work isn't all for nothing.
Yeah, a lot of times people are looking for this quick fix. When we do things with that mentality, we end up just gaining all of that back because unfortunately, all of that time it took you to gain that weight, it's going to take time to lose that weight as well.
Yeah. So let's hop into the diet first. Obviously, there's a couple different facets that we can talk about: the diet, the workout, total intake, movement. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, but the diet is the first place to start. And when you're setting your calories, you need to understand just basic energy balance. Anytime you're eating the exact amount that your body's burning, you're going to maintain your weight. It's called caloric maintenance. Anytime you're eating more than your body's burning, you're in a caloric surplus, you're going to gain weight. Anytime you're eating less than your body's burning, you're in a caloric deficit. So at the end of the day, it is a math equation. But the problem is if you are extremely restricting your calories to start, you are going to run at this point where your body's going to be so resistant to change because it feels like it's starving. It's not going to be willing to get rid of body fat. And 9 times out of 10, when I meet with people, either here at the gym or on a phone call with a consult for an online training clients, they are extremely restricting their calories, and they're doing this and they're not seeing progress, and they're frustrated, and they have low energy and terrible workouts. And really the answer is to make sure that they're eating enough calories. It sounds really crazy, it sounds ass backwards, but making sure that you're in the correct spot for you, making sure that you're eating the correct amount of calories for your own metabolism and your own goals, and not listening to all the BS out there and thinking that you can eat 1,000 calories and lose weight for 8 weeks. I can promise you that's not going to turn out well, or you're going to run the risk of losing your muscle, which we definitely don't want.
Yeah, and a lot of the times when we see clients, who first start with us and we're like, okay, tell us what your diet looks like, and we go over diets and things like that, a lot of times people are not eating enough. And so, like you mentioned, and so sometimes it's important to teach them what it looks like to eat at a maintenance, because if you're already eating in a deficit, your body has now adapted to that. So it's important to, get your body to get to that maintenance phase first and then go into that cutting phase. And I think that's frustrating for a lot of people because it does take time. It's something that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you have to kind of retrain your body at, and it can be overwhelming too when you're someone who wasn't eating very much and I give you this meal plan and you're like, whoa, that's a lot of food. It's scary. You're like, I'm trying to lose weight, but you want me to eat more? Yes, because we want to fuel our body properly and not be in that starvation phase, so that when we do go into a phase where we're trying to cut and restrict, it doesn't feel as crazy. Because if we're not eating enough calories now, in order to actually lose weight, we'd have to get down to a crazy amount of low calories that is just not healthy and sustainable.
Yeah. So typically, good rule of thumb, everybody's very different, but where you want to start with is about 250 to maximum of 500 calorie deficit. So if your maintenance calories, for example, and again, this is a pure example here, say it's 2,000 calories, you're going to go into a deficit. You're going to subtract 250 to maximum of 500. I would start with 250 first. That's typically where we start people. Again, the percentage of the macros also is very important, making sure that you're getting enough protein, you're getting the correct balance of carbohydrates and fats. If you do have specific questions on your macros, we do have a free resource in the comment section below. You can click on that link, go fill out a form, and we'll do a free macro calculation for you. So that's a good free resource to use if you have questions about macros, about specific breakdown of carbs, fat, protein, because it is super important. You can't just say, I'm going to eat this amount of calories, but then your macros are all over the place, that's also going to impact negatively your body fat progress or your body fat loss progress. So,
And muscle mass.
yeah, and muscle mass, exactly. If you're not eating the correct amount of protein, the correct ratio of protein, carbs, fat, you could also run the risk of losing muscle mass. So when we create programs for people, that's really what we're looking to do the goal should be, if you're looking to lose weight, is to lose body fat while building or maintaining muscle. It's never lose as much weight as we possibly can and just hope that it's not muscle. We're going to try and preserve as much muscle mass as possible. And if you do so, you're going to keep your metabolism high. And again, I think a lot of people, their first thing they do when they want to lose weight is they restrict the hell out of calories and they do a bunch of cardio. And we're here to tell you that that's the wrong thing to do. It's the wrong process, because I guarantee you've done that before and it hasn't worked, because as soon as you stop that, you put the weight back on. So you really don't know how to lose weight the correct way. And that's really what we look to teach people through this podcast, through our training here in the gym with our own personal training and group training clients, through our online coaching program. We look to teach people how to build muscle or lose body fat the right way so that they can do it once and they don't ever have to do it again. They can sustain that progress. So that's what we really want to talk about today in our podcast, and just kind of change your mindset around either building muscle or losing weight. If you're somebody that is tired of not seeing the results that you want to see and you're looking for a structured program that is tailored to your goals, then we are here to help. We've helped hundreds of people, both in person and online, create a program that is structured around their goals to help them not only see the results that they want to see, but also sustain the progress. So if you are interested in learning more about our online training program, we have a link down in the comment section below. Go click on that link, fill out that form, and let's schedule a time to chat more about your specific goals, what you're currently doing, and how we can help you create a program around your workout and your diet that's going to help you see the results that you want and sustain the results. Whether your goal is to lose body fat, build muscle, train in a hybrid style where you're mixing lifting and running, these are all things that we can help you with. So if you're interested in working together, like I said, go click that link down in the comment section below, fill out that form, let's get in touch, and let's create a program that is custom to your goals.
Yeah, and one thing too that I want to point out is that when we are talking about weight loss, we're focusing on fat loss, body recomposition. So although sometimes the scale may not change, I know this is something that I personally battle with. You hear me complain about this all the time. It's like this number on the scale that, we all think that I felt so good when I was at this weight, and you have this weight in your head that you want to be at. But a lot of times if we're in the gym and we're strength training and our diets are on point and we start to build muscle, you may start to like the way your body looks better with, that heavier weight, but it's because you've lost body fat percentage and you've put on muscle mass.
Yeah.
So taking photos, taking measurements, we have an in-body scale here. Those things are going to help keep track of the overall progress versus, if you're stepping on the scale and you're getting frustrated and you're like, why isn't the scale moving? I'm so frustrated. You got to find other ways that are going to keep you motivated and keep you focused on seeing progress in other areas as well.
Yeah, it reminds me, like I just had a client weigh in this morning, and she's been training really hard, and she's been training here at the gym with me a couple times a week, and her weight is only down like 1 pound, but she's lost over 3% body fat, and she's put on, I think, like 4 or 5 pounds of muscle. So
Awesome.
that's a huge progress. It's a huge positive body composition change that a regular scale is not going to show you. Like, you're going to notice those things if you're starting to set up your program the correct way of, we'll talk about in a second, lifting weights, you're eating enough food, you're holding on to muscle mass or building muscle mass while losing body fat. And you
Yep.
definitely can do it. Typically people that are less experienced in the gym, that's where you see people that can have that body recomposition that we talk about. But anybody can lose body fat and still maintain or build muscle or build strength when you're in a caloric deficit, when you're trying to lose body fat. So like Alyssa's point, body composition is what matters more. We want to focus on losing body fat. That's the sole goal. The weight is one of those things, like, it's going to come down, but don't be so tied to a weight that you're like, I'm only going to be happy at this weight. Well, what if you lose 5% body fat and you put on 5 pounds of muscle? Visibly, you're going to look so much better. You're going to feel so much more confident,
Clothes are
and
going to fit
clothes are going to fit
different.
different. So that's what you really want to focus on. And a huge part of that is the strength training component. So, again, people think of cardio and extreme caloric restriction to lose weight. But in order to keep the weight off, you need to be doing strength training in your program. I would say at least 3 times a week is a good
Yeah.
place to start. You could be doing more. You could do 4, 5, 6 days a week, but at least 3 times, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna help you, yes, build muscle and build strength, but by doing so, you're also gonna increase your metabolic rate. So the more muscle mass you have on your body, the more calories you burn. You like that little flex there? Yeah. The more muscle you have on your body, you're gonna burn more calories at rest. So it's gonna be a lot easier to sustain that weight loss. So if you lose 10 pounds of body fat, but you have zero muscle and you solely lost that weight because you restricted the heck out of calories, you were doing endless cardio. Soon as you go back to eating more food and you stop doing that cardio, you're going to put that weight back on. So that's not a long-term strategy. The long-term strategy is eat enough food, have really good workouts, build muscle, build strength, do the correct kind of cardio, and do the correct program for you. And by doing so, you're going to be able to keep that weight off and sustain that progress through having more muscle mass. It is your biggest investment that you can make in your metabolism and just your overall progress long term. That's going to help you see initial progress. You're going to look different in a mirror, but you're also going to be able to sustain that progress so much easier.
Yeah, look different, feel different, perform better. And when we're doing, our strength training sessions, they can look so differently. If you're doing 3 days a week, you could do all full body days. You could split that up, lower, upper, lower if you're looking to focus more on your lower, or even lower, upper, full body. If you're someone who's, really, really enjoying your cardio and you're like, I really don't want to add in strength training because I really do enjoy cardio. We're here to tell you that adding in that strength training is going to actually help you with your running form, help you get stronger in your running and your endurance, your muscular endurance. And so they go hand in hand. While, when we talk about weight loss, we're like you said, you instantly think of cardio, and I know some people are like, "Well, I enjoy cardio. I feel good after cardio. I sweat." Sweating doesn't necessarily mean, "Oh, I burned more calories because I actually sweat." Sweating is a natural detox. It's great for your body. It does mean that you worked hard necessarily, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you worked hard. It's just a way of your body detoxifying. But just keep in mind that if you are somebody who really, really likes running, you don't have to do less running necessarily, but it's important to find a good balance of running and strength training to see that overall body recomposition. Because if you're like, I really like running, but I want my body to look like X, Y, and Z, you have to really sit down and say, okay, yes, I enjoy running, but I don't love the way my body looks. So I think I need to incorporate these 3 days a week of strength training in order to get myself where I want to actually be.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's always the blend of cardio and strength. That's what we want. That's what we're all about with hybrid training, is to blend both in a program. And
Right.
everybody looks so different. So if you have questions on your program, let us know in the comment section. We would love to help you out. Transitioning into the next piece, what I want to talk about is, you follow this awesome program, you see awesome results, whether it's something you've created or something that we help you with create that program. But once you see that progress, should I initially reverse diet? Should I just jump back to my calories? Like, what does that look like? So you can kind of talk about that next,
Yeah.
about reverse diets. Should you jump back up to maintenance? And what does the diet look like to sustain the progress?
You definitely want to make sure you reverse diet, because if you're not reverse dieting and you jump back up to maintenance, there could be some of that fluctuation and you might be like, whoa. Or, sometimes we go from dieting and restricting to what we think is maintenance if we're not tracking. And that's where we kind of fall off the wagon and that weight can come back up. So I think it is important to reverse and then go back to maintenance. I think you're going to be able to sustain that weight loss and maintain what you've already established by doing that reverse dieting. And what that looks like is, let's say we cut that 250 calories. What we're going to do is slowly bring in back another 100, see how that feels within a week, again, taking those measurements, seeing how our body is doing, adjusting to adding in those extra 100 calories. And then the next week, maybe we add in another 100, depending on how that looked.
Yeah, and everybody's so different. Some clients do reverse diet, some clients don't. But yeah, I think the slower strategy helps. And the reverse diet doesn't have to be super slow. It can be something that can take a lot less time than the initial cut did. But the idea is you just want to make sure when you're adding those calories back in, The goal is to get to maintenance. So we don't want to add so many calories back in all of a sudden, or you're like, man, I've been deprived from my diet. I'm gonna add all this food back in, and then you see a lot of weight gain. And you might gain some weight once you start adding more food in. The
Carb.
more carbs you start to eat, yeah, you're gonna store more carbs in your muscle. That's not necessarily bad. So again, the weight doesn't matter. I would definitely use some sort of body fat tracking,
Tool.
whether it's a Holmes InBody scale or it's an InBody here, like here at the gym, DEXA scan, hydrostatic weighing test. Like there's a lot of ways you can do it, but looking at your body fat is super important. So when you're going back into that maintenance, or if you're going to get back into a surplus, the main thing is just need to find what is going to make the most sense for you. And I would do it slowly if you're going to reverse diet, whether that's something you'd help with or it's something that you're doing on your own. Just make sure that you're not throwing all these calories back in, and what you think is your maintenance, you're actually in a surplus, and then you gain weight back. Because if you do that, again, you're going to run the risk of putting some body fat on. So do it slow, and you're going to see very little to no body fat gain if you do it the right way. If you do it too fast, you could run the risk of putting some body fat on. So again, just the structure is what matters, making sure you're doing it in a really thought out way.
Yeah, and the goal overall is to not always be in that deficit. We're trying to teach you guys that these, fat loss phases are short term, and if you do them the right way, they can be shorter. If you feel like you're always in a deficit, you're always spinning your wheels, you're always up and down yo-yoing, it's because you're not truly giving your body that time to sit in that deficit, and you're not following it, restricting yourself enough there to then go back to reverse and then sit at maintenance. If you do this right, you won't always feel like, why do I always feel like I'm yo-yoing? If you can actually stay in that deficit, maintain that for, 8 weeks or so, and then reverse your way back up and hang at maintenance for a while. And then, you got a trip coming up, you got summer coming up around the corner. You're like, all right, I just want to cut a little bit. It's such an easier process to do versus being like, okay, I got 50 pounds I want to lose and I want to lose it in this short amount of time. That's not ideal. That's not realistic. The biggest thing is to take baby steps and be in these phases short term, get back to maintenance, and then come back to those fat loss phases.
Yeah, so that's really what we're all about. If you guys have questions or you're looking for a program, we are all about helping people not only get in shape but also stay in shape. I think
Yeah.
it's anyone can get in shape, anyone can, follow a program. The difference of what we do is we want to help you, yes, get in shape, how to understand how to actually lose body fat the right way, or if your goal is to build muscle, how do I build muscle the right way? How do I sustain that progress? And how do I stay in that good shape? How do I make sure that I'm not putting body fat on? How can I change my habits and my lifestyle to be able to sustain this progress? Because it's hard work to get in shape, but it's also hard to have to go to doctor's appointments and constantly need more medication and have health complications. So at the end of the day, you have to really choose your heart of what you would like to do. Would you like to put in some hard work in your diet and the gym for the next 3 to 6 months, see awesome progress and sustain that for the rest of your life? Or would you rather have long-term health complications that are going to come up because you're in an unhealthy spot? So if you do need help putting a program together, we can definitely help you out. We have a link in the description below where you can go fill out the form, and we can set up a time to chat more about how we can create a program that's tailored to your goals.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next video.